Hello, and thank you for joining my final presentation. I did my presentation on Skittles. This is titled Skittles and the Rainbow. In Skittles history, I have found that beginning in 1970s, which began from UK, started out in the UK and then in the mid 70s um, was sold in um, United States, and before then it was sold in Europe. So in the 70s, on the top left corner, you'll be able to see a Skittles ad that shows this kind of like an animation. But when you watch the video, you'll be able to see that this animation is really close to Schoolhouse of Rock. If you're familiar with that, it's a children's learning animation show that was played during that time period. And so in this method, I think that Skittles has shown that they are trying to reach children by drawing attraction to things that they're familiar with and using that same animation style to attract children that age. Moving on to the 80s, you'll be able to see that there are more focus on teens and young adults. Leading up to the 80s, they coined their slogan, Taste the Rainbow. If you were in the 90s at all and you remember watching commercials, you might be familiar with the top right picture. You'll see a woman on a horse, and she ends up going to Stonehenge or Stonehenge-like place where an S is written on a stone when she touches it, and then Skittles fall from the sky like rain. And at the very end of this short clip, it is whispered, "Taste the rainbow." For me as a kid, I remember that very clearly. For whatever reason, I wasn't really attracted to it, but I just kind of thought it was a kind of a surreal commercial. It almost kind of weirded me out in the sense of how um, they depict the rainbow in Skittles commercials back then. Um, since then, teens and young adults become more focused. Uh, You'll see down here at the bottom left corner is a Skittles machine where you can pick whatever flavor Skittles that you like the most or combine two, one, or more flavors together to build your own pack essentially. And on the bottom left corner, you'll see that Skittles had some repackaging design as a new campaign for Pride and their sponsorship with Glad. So they sponsored with, or they worked with the community's artists and had their artwork designed for Skittles packaging for people to add their own rainbow colors onto the Skittles packaging. Another part of history that I found interesting was, yes, the Skittles name was derived from the United Kingdom sports game. It says it's a sports game, but it really looks like kind of like a bar game. If you look it up, you'll see like instruction videos on how to play and things like that. But I did find that the name did come from this sports game. Um, Also, their marketing methods are, um, they had, I guess, promoted real fruit juice in their Skittles. So with the real fruit juice, they had advertised, you're going to experience this taste, but without the struggle to get the taste. Like, you don't have to peel it, you don't have to worry about seeds. You're going to get real fruit juice by eating their candy, which I found a pretty comedy perspective on Skittles candy providing real fruit juice as a nutritional value. Next, we'll talk about consumer analysis. In a sea of fruit candy brands, Skittles have ranked number 2 for consumer favorites, top choices, right behind Sour Patch Kids. But they are a really close competitor. So they are reaching their target market of children, teens, to young adult consumers. and this requires revamping their methods of advertising in order to compete. For children's consumer analysis, they are aged 6 through 12, basically anyone who is not a teenager that can eat hard candy or chewy hard candy. They're considered a large portion of Skittles product consumption. And so children want Skittles because they enjoy their chewy, fruity candy, and it is a top choice for fruit candy when choosing candy out of candy bowls for Halloween. For teens and adults, relating to this target market, they use humor, um, kind of like social experiences that people experience during the time period. In this image, if you look up Skittles AI, you'll see that they're looking at a computer and saying like, oh, they're listening to us. Oh, they know what we're doing. They know what we want. It's like they're targeting us. And it shows a picture of them, or it shows of them watching a video of eating Skittles, and there's a Skittles ad at the top corner too. So the analysis of teens and young adults, they're self-buyers. They make decisions on their own based on their attraction to the brand and their experiences and values that they might have similar with Skittles. But this goes under for any economic class, race, education, or gender. Skittles is for everyone. Maybe not people who can't eat chewy hard candy, but generally Skittles are for everyone. Consumers of this target group, children, teens, and young adults, was conducted in a survey, I think about like 1,000 people. If you look on the Mars website, you can find all their surveys for their products that they have conducted. So they did a survey based on how people eat their Skittles. What was interesting is that it was categorized with options of either by the handful, one at a time, a few at a time. People even squish them together. I know people who do that. They like to squish two flavors together, or maybe even stack them all the way up like a tall club sandwich. And so combining these with different flavors, either by the handful, mixing them up, separating colors, or eating your favorite color at first. They did an analysis. It finds that people enjoy the experience and the interaction of Skittles, and is a key component to how their consumers enjoy the product. Next, I'm going to talk about the subject of Skittles ad analysis. Is the multi-generation changes with culture and society. The Skittles had made necessary changes to the development of their historical and cultural changes through understanding their target market demographics. Skittles advertising methods changed in the mid-90s with the added slogan Taste the Rainbow, and this was developed by an advertising agency in New York City by Darcy Macis Benson Himbaus. Taste the Rainbow has evolved how Skittles would deliver this slogan tone. Throughout the 90s, the slogan Taste the Rainbow was heard as a whisper, as I spoke about earlier in the slides, at the end of a mini story. And these mini stories changed in um, how the rainbow is depicted or how it would be experienced as like a taste and sort of like a fantasy depiction like what we've seen in previous ads over the years. Now the tone has changed to an aggressively bold tone, I guess you would say, and it denotes a different kind of message to the target consumer as taking an action rather than having a feeling when you consume the product. In the top corner, the top image you'll see is an 80s YouTube video ad of people just grabbing handfuls of Skittles, and the imagery that's used in there is definitely a time period that you can tell that shows how the advancement of technology has increased since the initial debut of the candy. And below that, you'll see the familiar new Taste the Rainbow slogan, which is inserted whatever phrase at the top and then at the end, Taste the Rainbow. In my conclusion, with the history, consumer, and advertising analysis of Skittles, I've been pleasantly surprised by how well this brand has succeeded to remain as a top fruit candy that is chosen by their consumers today. Skittles has maintained their relevance in fruit candy for 50 years, with little differences in their product. Beginning with commercials targeting children to targeting teens and young adults, has created tasks and risks for their marketing methods in order to discover what their target audience attraction may be at the time. Skittles was able to adapt and change when needed due to developments in technology, advertising, marketing methods, and research which expanded how Skittles could reach their audiences even further. To the right, you'll see familiar Skittles packaging that you might have tried. Are there ones that you've tried here? Have you tried all of them? In my reflection of my research, what I found interesting was the ways that Skittles has made very little changes, besides adding new products to their Skittles line. Um, the original Skittles product has overall been unchanged since it was developed. Now, what I found surprising is kind of similar to what I found interesting. What I found surprising is that Skittles used to add real fruit juices to their candy, but now they do not contain any fruit juices. So I wonder if the fruit juice advertisements was very small, and so maybe it was kind of mismarketing, and they had to go back to choosing not making fruit juices or claiming that they have fruit juices as their flavoring. Um, how I found my research project that deepened my understanding of this concepts in class. This project has deepened my understanding of concepts um, because now I understand in real life situations how I've been targeted over time, and I have learned that advertising is basically a made up world that is attempting to reach their target audience with a false reality. By knowing these terms, I know what to look for in advertising, and I can now become more conscious of how I'm being targeted in my daily life as a consumer. Thank you for watching my presentation. I learned a lot this semester in the short 4 weeks that we were in this class, but it was very insightful to how marketing in the future could lead and how brands develop over time to become what they are today. So I have a whole new perspective and outlook on Skittles today, and I might end up buying me a pack this weekend. So take care and have a great day.